My name is Amy, and I am currently 32 years old. As a pregnant woman entering my ninth month of pregnancy, I am experiencing a new milestone in my life. On this day, we had planned a visit to my husband's parents' house. It's about 30 minutes from our apartment to my husband's parents' house each by car. Therefore, we can visit easily several times a month. The main purpose of today's visit was to enjoy the apple pie my mother-in-law is good at making. Her apple pie has a special taste for the family, and we always look forward to it when we visit. My mother-in-law has a very warm personality. However, last year she and my husband had to overcome the sudden death of my father-in-law. Overcoming that difficult time, she is now sincerely looking forward to the birth of our child, her grandchild. However, not all family members are happy waiting for the birth of our child. One of them is my sister-in-law, Natalie. She married 6 years before us but has not been blessed with children yet. It seems she started infertility treatments 2 years ago, but the desired results have not been achieved. Amid pressure from neighbors and relatives, Natalie tends to become emotional. My mother-in-law, considering that, had asked us to avoid contact with Natalie. We respected her wishes and avoided contact, but on this day, we encountered Natalie unexpectedly.
Oh, Amy. It's been a long time, but it seems like your body line has changed a bit. Have you been relaxing too much at home? Your body looks a bit plump. You need to be careful when walking up hills.
I was at a loss for words at Natalie's sudden remark.
Sis, that's a bit. Amy is currently pregnant, so changes in her body are natural. Such words are disrespectful to many pregnant women out there. It would be appreciated if you could choose your words more carefully.
Before I could rebut, my husband John firmly defended me, which was reassuring.
I just mentioned it out of concern for Amy's future. Sudden changes in body shape might have health implications, you know? I just want Amy to take care and be cautious.
My sister-in-law Natalie has strong opinions and thoughts, showing no signs of yielding. Interactions with her always tended to be difficult. Thank you for your valuable advice, Natalie. Indeed, I need to be more vigilant. Although I was a little surprised in my heart, I responded outwardly with a calm attitude. However, Natalie's eyes became colder, suggesting further provocation.
Exactly. Being pregnant doesn't give you a free pass to laze around. Speaking of which, could you clean up here from now? Exercise is good for the body, isn't it?
She handed me a bucket and a mop without worrying about the eyes of those around us. This act of my sister-in-law surprised the other family members. It's understandable. Asking a heavily pregnant woman to clean is quite the demand. Especially my mother-in-law and husband tried to stop her, but my sister-in-law snorted unhappily and quickly went upstairs.
Amy, I am really sorry. I tried to send her home to avoid a confrontation between you two, but it didn't work out.
Deep apologies were conveyed in Emily's voice. It's all right, Emily. Please don't worry. I am not bothered by such things.
I am really sorry, Amy. My sister is always stubborn and linear in her thinking.
My husband, with a worried expression, held my hand and conveyed this. Afterward, we returned to the living room and enjoyed the long-awaited homemade apple pie from my mother-in-law, along with aromatic black tea. That time was very harmonious, enough to forget the previous incident. We considered calling Natalie, but in the end, we did not see her again on that day. I had not considered that I would encounter an unprecedented event at that time. One day, there was a meeting with my mother-in-law, and it was decided that I would visit her house alone. Upon arriving at the house, the front door was unexpectedly unlocked. Surprised, I cautiously entered and found my sister-in-law relaxing in the living room. Hello, Natalie. It's unexpected to see you today. I heard from Emily that today was a work day for you.
Actually, I took a little vacation today. But I didn't expect you to visit. I remembered that I couldn't finish cleaning properly last time because of the interruption. So, shall we clean together today?
Saying so, she handed me a freshly wrung mop and a bucket filled with clean water. The relationship with her was delicate, and the situation made it difficult for me to refuse, so I reluctantly began to clean. However, I had been feeling unwell since the morning, especially a discomfort in my abdominal area. As the cleaning progressed, the discomfort gradually intensified. Just when I thought of taking a break, an unexpected move from Natalie sent a shock through my belly. At that moment, I felt a gradual wetness in my lower half and realized that my water had broken. Furthermore, I was hit by severe abdominal pain and crouched down on the spot.
Amy, you should learn how to behave towards your superiors. We are proposing to settle this issue amicably. It's only right to follow that proposal.
Amidst this exchange, suddenly, the door to the hospital room swung open with a loud bang.
I've heard everything that was discussed. Sorry, but I have no intention of accepting any settlement.
My husband's voice resonated across the hospital room, his presence overwhelming the entire room. His tall stature, well-built physique, and the tone of his voice echoed in the room, abruptly changing the atmosphere. The two aggressive individuals were left speechless with surprise and fear by his appearance. Smiling lightly, he said,
"Oh, John, meeting you here is truly a surprise."
However, behind that smile, there was a clear sense of tension. Letting out a deep sigh, he responded,
Honestly, I never thought I'd run into both of you in a place like this. Moreover, to hear such unexpected statements, could you explain why you brought this up?
John had heard the conversation of Bill between Natalie, so he was not in a position to accept any superficial excuses or reasons. Shaking voice, she continued,
John, there's no need to come at us with such anger. There's no malice in what we're saying. We genuinely feel sorry for Amy regarding the current situation. That's why we are seeking resolution through a settlement.
Yet, John's anger had reached its peak.
The resolution of this situation hinges on Amy's will. This isn't a trivial matter that can be resolved with money. She had to undergo emergency surgery, and our child is in an incubator. You both put their lives in danger. Do you fully grasp the seriousness of this?
At John's words, I too was nodding inwardly. The attitude of trying to resolve the matter easily, with money, deeply infuriated me from the bottom of my heart. My sentiments align entirely with my husband's. No matter the amount of money offered, we cannot condone the act. The gravity of the situation should be understood, and responsibility should be taken appropriately. It seemed the sister-in-law thought we would forgive them easily if they brought up money. However, this matter wasn't something to be taken lightly. The fact that I and our child, fighting for life in an incubator, were safe was miraculous in itself. If the circumstances were slightly different, our child might not have been in this world. It appeared that Natalie didn't fully grasp the severity of the situation, and Bill, present in the same room, likely shared a similar view. Seeing their attitude, it was unthinkable for us to settle this issue lightly. With a face red in anger, she trembled as Natalie replied to us,
What are you saying? The essence of this issue lies in your actions. Knowing how much I have suffered over being unable to have children, you dared to stroke your belly in front of me. That was like rubbing salt in the wounds of my heart. That's why I acted with the intention of teaching you a lesson.
Ever since I got pregnant, I had only saw Natalie a few times. Every time I appeared in front of her, she would quickly flee into her room. Hence, the likelihood of her witnessing me stroking my belly was extremely low. Yet, for some reason, she strongly asserted so. I found it very questionable. Regardless of her excuses or background, her fault wouldn't disappear. Both my husband and I couldn't find it in our hearts to forgive her actions.
I can understand the desire for a child and the suffering it's causing you. However, it's not permissible to resort to violence against Amy for that reason. No matter how deep your reasons or background might be, endangering someone else's life is absolutely unacceptable.
Although my husband tried to explain to my Natalie with a calm yet firm attitude, they were unwilling to accept our words. From their expressions and behavior, we could only feel their desire to escape from this troublesome situation as soon as possible. Sorry, but it's difficult to talk any further. It hasn't been long since my surgery, and my condition isn't good. If this commotion continues, I intend to call the police. For me, who was recovering, a lengthy dialogue with them was a huge burden. After my husband ushered the two out of the room, he sat down for a moment, letting out a big sigh with a tired look. He had anticipated in advance and recorded the exchange with them thoroughly that day, so now we had solid evidence in our hands. Even my mother-in-law, understanding how much Natalie had suffered from not being able to have children, was furious and couldn't agree with an act that threatened my and her future grandchild's life. As a result, we decided to take legal action against Natalie and officially filed a police report. Eventually, Natalie was taken away by the police. A discussion was set up through lawyers afterward, but Natalie was very aggressive towards the lawyer, stating loud,
I am not at fault at all. She deliberately showed off. her fertility to me, who is suffering in a childless situation. She is not a complete victim either. So, I think we should resolve this issue through a settlement.
At first, Natalie, who had expressed willingness to pay a significant amount of money as an apology, now adopted a stance of not acknowledging her wrongdoing, trying to conclude the matter as a mistake on both sides. In the hospital room, my brother-in-law, who had been intimidated by my husband's attitude before, he had maintained an energetic demeanor from the beginning of the day, obviously wanting to avoid financial losses. However, what they didn't expect was that the conversation in the hospital room had been thoroughly recorded. The moment they learned this fact and were presented with the evidence, their complexion changed. With such clear evidence, do you still claim that you are not at fault? Honestly, it's hard to believe such a claim would hold. Angered by our stance, my sister-in-law grabbed the teacup placed in front of her and suddenly swung it towards us. Fortunately, the tea had already cooled down, preventing any major injuries. Following this, the rude remarks from both of them in the office only deepened our distrust, and as a result, increased the amount of compensation being claimed. Together with my brother-in-law, who tried to calm down his trembling sister, they left the office. Considering the violence and unpleasant behavior I had been subjected to, as well as this incident, I was convinced that the amount of compensation from Natalie would be substantial. When I explained this series of events to my mother-in-law, she, while deeply saddened,
I am filled with regret that my daughter did such a terrible thing. There's no need to settle this matter. She should accept the consequences of her actions and apologize.
She said it with tears in her eyes. It was hard to believe that someone, supposedly of an age to behave as an adult, could hurt their parents so deeply. I could feel the depth of my mother-in-law's sorrow and felt genuine sympathy for her. Eventually, the high compensation claim from Natalie was finalized. Shocked by the amount, my sister-in-law repeatedly contacted me.
We were in the same position, so I want you to reduce the compensation, even a little.
She pleaded. However, recalling the actions of Natalie, I found it unbelievable that she could make such a request. No matter how many times you call, our opinion and resolution are firm. We are not considering reducing the compensation or settling this matter. Honestly, the frequent calls with the same content are very bothersome for us. So please stop contacting us. The continuous calls from my sister-in-law stressed me out to the point where I ended up using harsh words. Whether my words fueled her anger or not, suddenly she showed up at my apartment.
It's useless to hide. I know for sure you're in there, so come out right now. Hiding like a coward. It's just pathetic.
That day, I was not feeling well and was lying down on the sofa to rest. However, that brief moment of peace was shattered when the intercom rang, followed by Natalie's angry voice. What on earth are you doing? Showing up unannounced and making a scene like this. Are you all right in the head? You are causing inconvenience to the other residents, so please go home right away. I tried to remain as calm as possible while firmly protesting against Natalie's unreasonable actions. There are various families living in this apartment complex, with small children and elderly people spending their nights in peace. Making such a noise outside at this late hour felt utterly inconsiderate. Although I desperately wanted to resolve the situation, my husband was away at work at the time, forcing me to deal with it alone. No matter how much you try to persuade me, my opinions and thoughts are not going to waver. Please stop intervening in our lives. While supporting my weary body, I was asserting my strong resolve against Natalie, yet she was heavily fixated on coming to a settlement with us, showing no signs of lending an ear to my feelings or appeals.
It's not like I created this situation out of my own will. If you had understood our feelings and acted a bit more modestly, this wouldn't have happened. It's strange that you got pregnant first, isn't it? It should have been us. I just can't understand why it was you.
She seemed to view pregnancy as something to be compared and competed with others. As for me, I believe that pregnancy is not a matter of winning or superiority over others, but rather depends on each couple's timing. Of course, I can partly understand Natalie's feelings, as she is undergoing fertility treatments. However, it's utterly unacceptable to criticize others' choices and situations using that as an excuse. Everyone's background and values should be respected. I understand that you've been deeply troubled over not being able to have children, which must be very tough. However, that doesn't give you a legitimate reason to harm others, especially my daughter. I simply cannot accept the fact that my daughter got involved in this situation. I want you to take full responsibility for what you've done to my daughter. Above all, my daughter's safety and happiness are my top priority. And I absolutely cannot forgive anyone who harms my daughter. Later on, I suddenly heard the sound of police sirens from a distance. As the sound got closer, I instantly realized what had happened. Probably, some other residents of the apartment reported this late-night commotion to the police. Well, making such a scene in front of someone's house at this hour, startling the people around, it's only natural for the police to be called, I believe.
Hey, it looks like the police are headed this way. Why? Open the door quickly and let me in. Help me out.
My sister-in-law pleaded with a mix of fear and desperation in her voice. However, I had absolutely no intention of complying with such demands. Shortly after, police officers appeared at the entrance of the apartment. They must have come to hear the details from Natalie. I too provided the officers with information regarding the incident, explaining the sequence of events in detail. Around that time, my husband returned home from work. He also reported the details to the police officers. Based on my husband's testimony, the officers took Natalie in a patrol car to the police station. That night, I suddenly received a phone call from my brother-in-law. When I answered, he began speaking fervently with a slightly tired voice, explaining that he intended to end the relationship with Natalie and didn't want to involve us in his personal issues. Apparently, in the past, a colleague from my husband's company happened to be at the hospital where I was hospitalized and overheard some careless remarks made by my brother-in-law. Once this talk spread within the company, particularly among the female staff, my brother-in-law's reputation plummeted rapidly. The backlash against his comments and actions intensified, eventually reaching the Human Resources Department. While regretting his mistake, my brother-in-law reported the truth to the HR department. However, as a result, he was forced to step down from his current position and got transferred. Speaking in a serious tone, he pleaded,
I can't stand being troubled by her anymore. If more trouble arises, I won't be able to handle my job. So I want you to leave me out of this from now on.
After a brief silence, he hung up the phone. Thereafter, we had no contact with him and became completely estranged. Having gone through the trouble with my sister-in-law, we were able to receive proper compensation from her. To avoid any further issues, we decided to change our phone number and even move to a new place. Even if my sister-in-law, who fell into a harsh economic situation, sought help from us, we haven't shared our current address or contact information with her, making it difficult to respond to her requests. A few months later, to our joy, our daughter was able to leave the hospital in good health. Miraculously, she showed no signs of any after effects and has been growing healthily day by day since her discharge. According to neighborhood chatter and sporadic information, Natalie seems to be drowning in a significant amount of debt. Initially, she relied on friends, but her continuous stay without contributing to rent or food expenses gradually wore out their patience. Eventually, she was kicked off from her friend's place. Now homeless and strapped for cash, my sister-in-law has been looking for a live in part-time jobs, working to repay her debts with whatever earnings she can make.
Who do you believe you are, behaving so arrogantly? Simply stop talking and follow me. During the new company's inaugural ceremony, the loud voice of Seth, a new hire, reverberated across the venue. Most certainly intoxicated, his bluster grew with each utterance. In addition to insulting me, he threw a plate of noodles at my head. Old man, just sit there and eat your pasta quietly. My friend Lucas yelled in protest as he hurried over in a panic at this ludicrous behavior. How are you, James? You're there. What are you doing, in your opinion? What's wrong with you? You have no right to lecture me, old man. To whom do you believe you are speaking? What's your name? Who the devil are you, and huh? Why should I, the next president, follow your instructions? Really? Get out of my face. It's really unpleasant when people are unable to perform their duties. Being at a loss for words must be just like this. He's going to be president? How in the world could that notion even occur? The incoming president? Who said that? I did, old man. And why would you be the president in the future? Are you even a worker here, old man? Mr. Taylor, do you not know the president? That is pitiful. I'll tell you if you don't know. My father, David Taylor, is the president. I'm the next president, of course. What? Wait a minute. Is our business a family business? When a system I had never heard of was mentioned, I cocked my head. Our organization is merit-based rather than inherited. You have absolutely no chance of becoming the next president. Hey, old man, what are you talking about? Avoid becoming resentful and offering excuses. This is enough. Are you even aware of who you are speaking to? Lucas was about to finish when David Taylor showed up. He came over from the other side of the room, his face pallid, and grabbed Seth's head, pressing it down. He apologized in a panic. What do you think you're doing, you fool? I sincerely apologize for my son's ludicrous actions. What the devil, Dad? Why are you expressing regret to these strangers? Stop talking. Just shut up and say you're sorry. As I glanced back and forth between the apologetic David and his arrogant, insolent son, I let out a quiet sigh. I had thought David was a more capable leader, but it seems I had overestimated him. For the sake of the company, it looks like I'll have to make a decision. Seth, I regret to inform you that your father, the current president, has just been removed from his position. What? This is the perfect opportunity to announce it. David Taylor has been officially dismissed. Wait, what's going on? Why am I being removed? You've got to be kidding me. My dad's the president, and I'm the CEO. CEO? What the hell is that? Don't give me this nonsense. It's unbelievable. He doesn't even know what a CEO is. How did someone like this even get into our company? I heaved a deliberate, exaggerated sigh before announcing the dismissal loud enough for everyone in the room to hear. My name is James. I'm 53 years old. I was born in a place surrounded by mountains and the sea, a town with a small fishing port. While we weren't wealthy, we never went hungry. Life with my kind, warm-hearted parents and slightly mischievous older sister was quite comfortable. Growing up on fresh seafood and mountain produce, I've loved eating since childhood. I wasn't picky at all and ate heartily, no matter what was served. James, you really love your food. It's so wonderful to see you enjoying it so much. You've got a great appetite. I'll keep working hard to make sure you can always eat your fill of delicious food and grow big and strong. Because I ate with such enthusiasm, wherever I went, the adults around me often gave me little treats. I caught too much fish today. We can't finish it all, so here, James, you can have some. Thank you. I made a cake. James, would you like some? Yes, I'd love some. Children are the treasures of any community. As one of those treasures, I was doted on by everyone in the neighborhood. At first, my enthusiastic appetite made everyone happy, and they pinned their hopes on my growth. But as my eating habits became increasingly voracious, my body began to grow rounder day by day. James, don't you think you're eating a little too much? Don't worry. Kids are better off a little chubby. By the time he hits adolescence, he'll start caring about his appearance. Parents, really? I'm not so sure about that. It's fine. James takes after me. That's what I'm worried about. What's that supposed to mean, dear? Nothing in particular. Don't worry about it. My parents laughed and bantered over silly things, but mothers tend to have a keen sense about these matters. When I reached adolescence, instead of becoming self-conscious about my appearance, my appetite grew even stronger. There isn't a bigger lunchbox than this one. James, you're the only kid whose lunchbox is larger than their textbooks. I'm one of a kind. That optimism is one of your best traits. James, I suppose I can't complain. As I grew older, my world expanded, and I made more friends. Naturally, this meant my eating habits began to change. A diet rich in fresh seafood and mountain vegetables, centered around traditional Japanese meals, kept me healthy. Even if I overeated a little and gained some weight, I could quickly shed it. But junk food was a different story. In middle school, I discovered the taste of burgers, chips, and frappuccinos. These were dangerous. Once fueled by natural ingredients, My body gradually became saturated with additives. My weight spiraled out of control, far outpacing any attempts at dieting, and my face became riddled with acne. James, you need to go on a diet. My pants size hasn't changed yet, so I'm fine. What are you talking about? The sumo team scouted you just the other day. The wrestling team invited you too, didn't they? Well, I am popular. That's not the kind of popularity you should be aiming for. You need to attract girls. Mothers can be so strict. Honestly, walking with you is embarrassing. At least do something about your acne. Acne is a badge of youth. What youth is about? Romance, not acne. That's why only sweaty guys are drawn to you. Here, I've got a lotion that works for acne. Try it. Lotion. That's kind of embarrassing. Your acne-covered face is way more embarrassing. Fine. Mom, can I have some allowance? I just gave you some last week. Don't you understand, Mom? A middle schooler's allowance disappears into food as soon as they get it. When you're young, you're always hungry. Eat as much as you want, but James, don't forget you're single-handedly raising this family's food expenses. Yes, hearing all that, even I started to feel guilty. But that didn't mean I could stop eating. So, what should I do? If I couldn't stop eating, I could at least change how I ate. With that in mind, I began paying attention to avoid putting unnecessary things into my body. I had chicken nuggets with no sauce. I switched my order from frappuccinos to water. It might not seem like a big difference, but at the time, this was the best I could manage. When I started high school, I made new friends. One of them, Lucas, was a bit unusual. In the bustling classroom, he was always sitting alone, quietly reading a book. He wasn't gloomy, but he was calm and came across as incredibly intelligent. Hey, you're always reading, huh? Is it really that interesting? I was too absorbed in playing and eating to care about studying or reading, so I became curious about Lucas, who seemed like my complete opposite, and struck up a conversation. It's interesting. More interesting than all-you-can-eat food. What kind of comparison is that? Lucas smiled slightly, and it struck me how different he was from the overly serious, quiet image I had of him. He actually seemed approachable, so I kept the conversation going. What kind of books do you read? I don't limit myself to any particular genre. I don't want to close off possibilities. I just pick up anything that piques my interest, even diet books. Have you finally decided to go on a diet? What? I felt a twinge of sadness realizing that even someone I barely knew, like Lucas, was concerned about me. Isn't half your body made of cholesterol, James? It's not that bad, but yeah, maybe I'd like to slim down a bit. Are you serious? Kind of. If you're really serious, I'll help you. Really? But only if you're serious. If you're half-hearted about it, I won't get involved. Lucas was much more direct than I had imagined. I'd assumed he was a timid bookworm, but clearly, I'd been mistaken. Lucas, please guide me. I wasn't joking at the time. I was seriously thinking about dieting, but had no idea how to start and felt completely lost. If Lucas was willing to help me, maybe I could change for the first time in my life. I decided to rely on someone else. All right, starting tomorrow. What are you talking about? We're starting today. What? You want to lose weight, right? Yeah, then let's go to the library. Sorry, but I already made plans with Thomas and the others today. Cancel them. What? From today? No hamburgers. But we're going to karaoke. Sod's band, too. What if you don't like it? I'm out. I'm so sorry. With my head hanging low, I followed Lucas to the library. As we settled into the library lobby, Lucas said, "Can you write down everything you've eaten over the past week? Details of my meals. Write down everything you eat, the time you eat it, and exactly what you ate." I can't remember all of that. Just write down as much as you can recall. As I began writing down my meals from the past week, Lucas's expression gradually darkened. By the third day, a deep furrow appeared between his brows. When I got to the fifth day, he stopped me. Hold on. Are you seriously eating all this? Is it too much? It's not just too much, you're completely overloading yourself. You're exaggerating. As I tried to laugh it off, Lucas shot me a sharp glare, snatched the notebook, and began writing something down. Here's the number of calories you're consuming daily, and this is the estimated number of calories you burn in a day. If you want to lose weight, your calorie intake needs to be lower than your expenditure. For our age, the daily energy requirement is about 2,800 calories. Wow, I think I've heard that before. We learned it in middle school. Did we? I don't remember that. Let's break it down by meal. Ignoring my comment, Lucas pressed on. For example, on this day, you had 3 slices of toast slathered with butter for breakfast. Butter's great. It's delicious. For lunch, you had savory bread, sweet bread, and even a cream-filled donut. The savory bread from the school store is amazing. After school, you stopped at a convenience store and had 3 sweet buns and an ice cream. I also had a bag of chips. This is the total number of calories you consumed that day. When Lucas showed me the numbers, I was stunned. I wasn't just over the calorie limit. I had easily surpassed it. Surpassed it. No, I had doubled it, actually. I had gone far beyond even that. I felt horrified by myself. Not to brag, but I don't exercise. It's not that I dislike it, but I just find it too bothersome. Back in middle school, I was in a sports club, so I had no choice but to stay active. But in high school, I happily didn't join any clubs and spent my days completely detached from physical activity. Even I could easily imagine the consequences of continuing my current eating habits. It would lead to something irreparable. First, let's start by reducing your calorie intake. Got it. I nodded obediently and listened carefully to the improvements Lucas suggested. The first step was to reduce portion sizes overall. Snacks were limited to 1 a day. He gave me lots of detailed advice, but the one thing that stood out to me was olive oil. Using olive oil and natural rock salt as a substitute for salad dressing turned out to be a hit, even with my beauty-conscious sister. It quickly became a staple at our family table. How did you know about something as fancy as olive oil? It's in a lot of movies. I'm a big fan of Audrey Hepburn. Lucas's slightly blushing face was endearing, though I had no idea who he was talking about. Who's that? You don't know Audrey Hepburn. That's basic knowledge. I wasn't sure how basic that knowledge was, but when Lucas took me to watch one of her movies, I was blown away. Audrey Hepburn was adorable, elegant, and had a fairy-like charm. But what intrigued me even more than her was Italy, pasta, pizza, olive oil, and gelato. I became completely captivated by the stylish and delicious world of Italian cuisine. So, in the end, it's all about food for you, huh? Yeah, but I'm not mindlessly eating like before. By then, I was not only counting calories, but also making my own lunches. Cooking was fascinating. The possibilities were endless, and flavors and appearances could change entirely with just a little creativity. Even plating and dishware were part of the art of cooking, making it an incredibly creative process. While I had always hated studying, cooking, which required ingenuity, seemed to suit me. Eventually, cooking became more than just a hobby. It became my life and my future. After high school, I had no hesitation about enrolling in culinary school. I worked hard so you could go to college, my dad said, repeatedly urging me to go to college. But eventually, he came to understand that I was serious about becoming a chef and began to support me. If you're serious about it, then go all out. Forget culinary school. Go to Italy. Well, I need to learn the basics first. What are you talking about? If you're serious, you should learn where it all began. You're right, but it still feels too soon. There's no such thing as too soon when it comes to chasing your dreams. His words made me happy, but I wasn't ready to head straight to Italy. I wasn't confident enough. I wanted to build a foundation first. Culinary school was exciting and full of discoveries. With constant practice, my skills steadily improved. One of the special lecturers was a chef from a top Italian restaurant, and watching him work up close was an unparalleled experience. I became even more obsessed with cooking and utterly fascinated by the world of olive oil. The chef must have seen some potential in me, as he reached out with an offer. James, would you be interested in studying in Italy at your restaurant? Of course, if you're willing. I'd love for you to work with me. As long as I can eat your pasta every day. It was a somewhat impure motive, but I wasn't uninterested. More than anything, being invited by a top chef in Italy lit a fire in my heart. After graduating, I followed his invitation and set off for Italy to train. The training was grueling and rigorous, but my friendship with Lucas kept me going. While I had gone to culinary school, Lucas had enrolled in a university in Tokyo. At that time, we made a promise. One day I'll open my own restaurant. When I do, will you run it with me? You mean as a co-owner? Yeah, I'm great at cooking, but I'm hopeless with numbers. You'd go bankrupt immediately. Pretty much. All right, then I'll study business management at university. Perfect. I'll handle the flavors, and you handle the finances. With our odd couple dynamic, we'll do great. Our taste in food and women is perfectly aligned, too. Exactly. 10 years from now, in Italy. I later learned that V meaning okay was the first Italian phrase Lucas ever memorized. 10 years later, we reunited in Italy as promised. But I was still in the middle of my training, and Lucas was working in import/export at a trading company. Originally, Lucas had worked at a bank, but after about 5 years, he transitioned to the trading industry. The reason he gave surprised me. You never know, we might end up dealing with Italian tableware or ingredients someday. What's the deal? Are you planning to conquer the world? If we're doing this, we have to aim for the top. Let's rule the world. Sure. At the age of 32, we opened a small restaurant, but the start was anything but smooth. For foreigners like us to be accepted in the heart of Italy, we needed a tremendous amount of determination and effort. Although we were confident in the taste of our food, success wasn't as simple as that. A significant factor in our success was the support of our staff. Among them, my wife played a huge role. Nika, whom I met during my training, was a stunning woman who reminded me of Audrey Hepburn. Far too accomplished to be with someone like me. I'm the one who's a Hepburn fan, though. She may look like Audrey, but she's not Audrey. Too bad for you. Yeah, Audrey was like a fairy, wasn't she? Hearing this, Nika would laugh heartily. She was undoubtedly the star of our restaurant. Whereas Lucas and I were stoic and stubborn, Nika always brightened the restaurant's atmosphere with her gentle demeanor and radiant smile, balancing out our rigid personalities. I've noticed something recently. Japanese food pairs really well with Italian cuisine. True, pasta and soy sauce are a great match, and the combination of natto, which is fermented soybeans, and perilla leaf is unbeatable. Why not try experimenting with it? Let's do it, just no natto, please. Understood. With Nika's advice, we incorporated Japanese flavors into our Italian dishes. The result was a hit, and our restaurant gained a modest but growing reputation locally. Before we knew it, the business expanded, growing into a holding company with its headquarters in Italy and several subsidiaries under its umbrella. 8 years ago, we opened a branch in Japan and appointed Lucas as its president. However, it wasn't long before Lucas approached me with a request. I'd like to step back into a behind-the-scenes role. Who's going to be the president then? There's someone I have in mind. Unlike me, he's sociable and highly trusted by the employees. I think he'd be excellent at motivating the team. If you're confident in him, I'll trust your judgment. Taking Lucas's advice, I appointed David Taylor as the president. David was known for being thoughtful and considerate, and is one of the founding members of the Japan branch. He had been Lucas's right-hand man from the beginning. With someone like him in charge, there was no reason to worry. Lucas's decision to step back was to focus on a new venture. Our restaurant and the Italian gourmet goods shop we operated were both doing well, but we wanted to try something new. Don't you want to do something exciting like we used to do? Well, we're middle-aged now, so if we're going to do it, it's now or never. All right, let's do it. Do what? How about a restaurant where customers can create their own dishes? Wouldn't that be fun? You mean a cooking studio? Not exactly. Imagine they could choose their own pizza toppings, salad dressings, or whatever, and make their own original recipes. Like a drink station, but for food. Exactly, something like that. We would import sauces, oils, and herbs directly from Italy. In addition, we plan to offer original products by including rare and luxurious items that people wouldn't normally try at home. We aim to create a truly exciting experience. We also decided to implement a system where customers could order their favorite items on the spot. It was sure to bring a sense of excitement and joy to our guests. After 3 years of planning, the first store for this new venture was set to open in Tokyo. To celebrate the opening, we organized an exclusive lunch event for our employees to enjoy first. Dressed in the staff uniform, I decided to surprise and personally serve our team. Do you really think the employees can relax if you're the one serving them? None of them even know what I look like. Do you think I would let our employees receive such poor education? What? Are they worshiping my photo every morning or something? That's a bit much, but everyone definitely knows the faces of the executives. I'll just put on glasses and disguise myself. More than anything, I wanted to hear their unfiltered thoughts. I wanted to see with my own eyes how our new store would surprise and delight them. On the day of the ceremony, I put on a bow tie, donned glasses, and blended into the crowd. This is amazing, so delicious. Wow, I didn't know these spices existed. I'd love to try this at home. Let's try that one next. The employees were chatting excitedly, enjoying themselves without a care for the serving staff watching them. They met delicious food and happily customized their dishes, all with radiant smiles. It filled me with joy. This is a success, I thought to myself, grinning. Then my attention was drawn to one man causing trouble. He was adding toppings to a female employee's bowl of dressing without her permission. Hey, stop that. It looks better with this added. Don't mess with my food. I'm just helping out. You're being rude. You're the one being rude. The man, likely drunk, continued to smirk and pester her relentlessly. I couldn't just stand by and let it happen. Excuse me, you need to stop bothering her. Who are you, old man? She clearly doesn't like what you're doing. Shut up. Why don't you stick to serving food or something? I don't take orders from you. Who do you think you are acting so high and mighty? Just follow the orders of the next president. Me? The next president? Who's that supposed to be? Me, of course. I'm Seth. I recognized him. He was one of the new employees who had just joined this spring. I haven't heard anything about that. You're part of the company, aren't you? If you don't know me, you're a fake. You're fired. Sith's loud voice echoed across the venue. He was clearly drunk and emboldened by it. Not content with just shouting insults, he dumped a plate of pasta on my head. The impact knocked my glasses to the floor. Old man, just shut up and eat your pasta. Well, at least it was chilled pasta. The cool al dente pasta brushed against my cheek. Seth's outrageous behavior startled my buddy Lucas, who rushed over. James, are you okay? What do you think you're doing? What's your problem, old man? I don't need your lecture. At that moment, Nicola ran over. Well, darling, what happened? You're covered in pasta. I'm fine, don't worry. Just as Nicola offered me a handkerchief, Seth grabbed her hand. Wow, you're gorgeous. Forget this old guy, come have a drink with me. Let go of me, how rude. Wait, what? What are you saying? That angry face of yours isn't bad either. Let go of her. Shut up, don't get in my way. Who is this man anyway? Don't worry about this washed-up old man. Let's go. Nika, visibly agitated, was speaking in Italian, but it seems Seth didn't understand a word of it. He didn't even notice that Nicola was referring to me as her husband. What's with your attitude? What's your name? Ha, who the hell are you? Why should the next president, like me, have to take orders from you? Don't come near me. Useless people like you are such a pain. This must be what people mean when they say they're left speechless. The next president? Him? Ridiculous. How could anyone come to such an absurd conclusion? And why do you think you're the next president, old man? Don't tell me you work here and don't even know the president. Mr. Taylor, that's pathetic. Fine, I'll educate you. The president is David Taylor, who is my dad. So naturally, I'm the next president. Our company isn't hereditary, but it's merit-based. The chances of you becoming the next president are 0. What are you talking about, old man? Don't be bitter and make excuses. Enough, you need to stop this. This man is... Lucas began, but he was cut off as David, his face pale as a sheet, rushed over from a distance. What are you doing? My deepest apologies for the terrible behavior of my son. Dad, what the hell? Why are you apologizing to these people? Shut up, be quiet, and apologize, I said, watching David bow low, while his arrogant son stood defiant. I couldn't help but sigh. I had thought David was more capable, but it seems I had overestimated him. For the sake of the company, a decision had to be made. Seth, was it? I regret to inform you that your father, the current president, has just been dismissed. What? Heh. This is a good opportunity to announce it here. David has been officially removed from his position. Wait, what? Why am I being dismissed? Old man, don't be ridiculous. My dad's the president, and I'm the CEO. CEO? What the hell is that? Stop spouting nonsense. Good grief, he doesn't even know what a CEO is. How did someone like this get hired at our company? This is why I've always argued against nepotism. David, it seems you've been abusing your position for personal gain. What do you mean by that? Don't bother feigning ignorance. We have evidence of your misappropriation of company funds. There must be some mistake. What kind of mistake would result in tens of thousands of dollars disappearing annually? Our company vehicles are all Coras. None of our executives drive a Lexus. David's face turned ashen, as if all the blood had drained from it. And then there's the exorbitant entertainment expenses. Who on earth are you entertaining to rack up such bills? David's face grew even paler, as if all the blood had drained from his body. Truly a pitiful sight. On top of that, you've been violating company rules by unilaterally exercising personnel authority. That's preposterous. We've received complaints from every department. When the Japan branch was first established, you served as Lucas's right-hand man. Because of that, I considered turning a blind eye to minor issues. But when we investigated, issue after issue came to light. This goes far beyond minor, and the complaints are endless. You change your behavior drastically depending on who you're dealing with. We also have numerous recordings of your inappropriate remarks. Your misuse of company funds is far from negligible. I can't protect you anymore. It's over. David, drenched in cold sweat, stood trembling, his face an unrecognizable shade of pale. This was something I planned to address later, but after witnessing your son's behavior, I can't wait any longer. Your son has no sense of respect when speaking to others, no manners toward women, and doesn't even know basic Italian, despite our company being headquartered in Italy. Worse still, he doesn't recognize the CEO's face. He is utterly unfit for this company. Starting now, both you and your son are dismissed. This is outrageous. You don't have the authority. This is my company. I make the rules. As much as I dislike saying such words, removing harmful elements from the company as early as possible was a necessity. Besides, you can tell a lot about a parent by observing their child. It seemed I had misjudged him. As I was mulling this over, Lucas turned to me with an apologetic expression. I'm sorry. I failed to see the warning signs. It's my fault for recommending him for president and causing this mess. As his superior, I take full responsibility. I'll resign from my chairman position. That's unnecessary. No, it's my duty. Lucas is a stubborn guy. Once he's made up his mind, there's no changing it. With a heavy sigh, I decided to accept his proposal. All right, you'll step down as chairman, Lucas. You'll take on the role of U.S. operations head starting next month. I'll issue the official order soon. We're opening a new store in Las Vegas. You'll transfer there as an advisor. Wait, what? I just told you I'm resigning to take responsibility. Exactly, so you're being demoted to Las Vegas. How is that a demotion? You're being removed from the chairman position and transferred to our Las Vegas branch. How about it, branch president? I turned to the person already appointed as the branch president for our Las Vegas office. He quietly murmured, "He's very reliable," and gave a firm nod. There you have it, Lucas. Do your best. Not you too, Nicola. I said it as the employees who had been watching the exchange erupted into enthusiastic chatter. Congratulations on your transfer to the U.S. Bring us back some souvenirs. Let's have next year's company trip in Las Vegas. Amid the lively laughter, Seth and David stood dumbfounded, watching the scene unfold. Oh, you're still here? The termination notices will be sent out tomorrow. Leave now. They seemed too stunned or perhaps too weak to move. With no other choice, I called security. Please escort these two out. Tonight's party is for employees only. As the father and son were escorted away by security, the light in their eyes had completely faded. Perhaps this experience will teach them a lesson, and they might find a different future. But that future isn't here. There is no place for them in the future of our company. Let them strive in a separate world, one that will never intersect with ours. With that thought silently echoing in my mind, I turned back to face my employees once again. Sorry for the unsightly scene, everyone. Let's start fresh. First, you need a change of clothes. Even for an Italian company, pasta isn't something you wear. Oh right, pasta is meant to be enjoyed, not worn. Perfect timing. We had matching outfits tailored for today. Let's put them on. Great idea. I'll get changed. When Nicola and I returned to the venue in our new outfits, the energy in the room soared. Nicola's dress was stunning, so much so that she was absolutely mesmerizing. She truly embodies the perfect image model for our company. Nicola, who once served as the charming face of our small restaurant, has now become a thriving influencer. She has made immense contributions to our company's PR efforts. For warmth and beauty, you're sure to win over Las Vegas in no time. I must say, the decision to transfer Lucas to Las Vegas couldn't have worked out better. Here's a little secret. Nicola and I have a son who works in the Las Vegas showbiz industry. With Lucas nearby, I'll feel more at ease, and it will give me more opportunities to visit under the guise of inspections. I hope this will serve as a small gesture of gratitude to Nicola for everything she's done to support us. I owe a bit of thanks to those two troublemakers for their perfectly timed intervention. How about making next year's company trip to Las Vegas? That sounds wonderful. Wow, Las Vegas. I can't wait. We just trimmed unnecessary expenses earlier. Cut me some slack. Fair enough. My apologies. Seeing Lucas scolding us with that adorably serious expression made us burst into hearty laughter. With the dead weight gone, we're free to move forward. First stop, Las Vegas. What's next? Ideas are bubbling up endlessly, and we're full of energy and enthusiasm. Lucas, what's the next step? I'd like to explore a completely different world. Movies, maybe. Sure, that could be fun. Then let's start with a deep dive into the Las Vegas showbiz scene. Of course, it always comes back to Las Vegas. We're not stopping anytime soon, so we'll keep searching for the next exciting challenge. After all, our journey is about bringing smiles to people's faces and filling stomachs worldwide, today and every day. Let our spices brighten your table. Enjoy your one-of-a-kind customized menu and have a dazzling day. Hugo is my name. I lost both of my parents in a vehicle accident when I was in high school. I've been getting by with my younger sister and older brother ever since. Since he finished middle school, my brother has been working, and he has continued to provide for our family even after the death of our parents. Our lives are a little more comfortable now that he is in charge of the Thunder Heights gang. After graduating from middle school, my sister began working part-time. She is leaving for her graduation trip today, marking her high school graduation. I chose to bid her farewell at the meeting spot as I had the day off. Thank you, Hugo. I'm going. Enjoy yourselves. When you return, I'll come get you. For days, she had been eagerly anticipating this excursion, much like a child. Then, however, a completely unexpected event occurred. In 5 minutes, my sister returned home from her graduation vacation. It was impossible for me to conceal my surprise when I saw her standing in the doorway. What happened? My brother ran over when he heard my loud shout. Why is there so much shouting? What's happening? Yvonne, you were meant to depart for your graduation trip today, right? She broke down in tears at that same moment and sat down on her suitcase in the hallway. In red marker, someone had written, "Poor orphan, go home." Hey, what the hell is this? Her head sank low as she continued to cry, too overcome to talk. I know it's hard, but can you tell us what happened? She eventually calmed down and gave an explanation of what had transpired. This has happened before. I believe I was targeted by them some time ago, perhaps 6 months ago. I was never liked by them in the first place. I'm ashamed to admit that there were rumors about me and that the younger pupils were taking notice of me. The group's leader must have felt intimidated. I suppose she couldn't stand me because she's always taken pride in her appearance and position. You're getting all this attention and letting it get to you just because you're a little pretty. Act as though you're impoverished and keep out of sight. For someone like you to be more noticeable than me is absurd. Get lost. What? What are you expecting me to accomplish? Why don't you speak in front of everyone if you have something to say? I'm not conceited, and I'm not attempting to outdo you. You're very conceited. You are the only one who ever confronts me. Want to feel bad about it? Have you not heard? My father is a member of a gang, and not just any group. He also holds a rather high position. Do you know what that implies? I can ask him to do anything. You'll vanish if I want you gone. Perhaps even your relatives. Is that meant to frighten me? I'm simply going about my existence. It makes no difference who your father is. I refuse to bow down to you. After saying that, Yvonne turned to go. She has no chance of going on the graduation trip. I suppose it was a mistake to confront her in that way. They persisted after that, bothering me with small acts every day. That has persisted for several months. Why didn't you tell us? I believed I could manage it. I'd assumed I would just put up with it till I graduated because I had wonderful pals. They went one step further today. This writing too. Yes, it was her. I knew something would happen, but I thought I could manage it. She even told me outright not to go on the trip a few days ago. I wasn't going to give up, though. After that, you took me to the meeting spot, and she faced me right away. Who's that? Was that individual a participant at all? I believe we had decided she wouldn't attend. You are not allowed to sit here. Unfortunately. Go get you by calling your overly protective brother. At home, go play with him. Michelle, the group leader who was harassing me, was the one who was laughing and saying this. I didn't ever consent to that. You made that decision for yourself. I stated that I was going, and since I know there is space on the bus, I am able to go. Don't offend my brother either. This is not related to him. You're so self-centered. You keep talking back to me, but why? Pay me $11,000 if you insist on going. The least you can do is that. If you pay, I might think about allowing you to attend. Maybe. I paid for the trip just like everyone else. I have every right to go. What? You, a poor girl, managed to pay? I thought you couldn't afford it in the first place. Your seat is being used for luggage now, so you might as well give up. Poor people don't have the right to participate. If I tell my dad, he can have you removed from the list in no time. Or are you planning to defy my dad? I told you. He's in the gang, didn't I? He's a powerful man. It'd be so easy for him to make you disappear. He'll do anything I ask. So, how about it? Are you scared yet? You still want to go. You being here is just a nuisance for everyone else. Go home and get some sleep. Oh, and as a souvenir, let me autograph this filthy suitcase of yours. Being poor or not has nothing to do with this. And gang, that's irrelevant too. If I decide not to go, will you apologize to me properly? You've insulted my family and everything. If you don't like me so much, why don't you stay behind? That way, everyone else can enjoy the trip without any issues. What? Apologize to you? Not a chance. Why would I ever do that? Oh wait, I don't have time for this nonsense. We've got a graduation trip to go on, after all. Too bad for you. But here, let me leave you a little memento. With that, Michelle and her friends started scribbling all over my suitcase with red markers. Then they somehow convinced the bus driver, and they left without me. Maybe I was wrong. Michelle's always bragging about her dad being in a gang, so I believed her, and everyone else follows her because they're scared. Yvonne looked heartbroken as she finished explaining. That's outright bullying. I won't let her get away with this. Don't worry. I'll make things right. While we were fuming, my brother made a phone call. Are they talking about something right now? I asked. Yes, they're chatting and laughing. I'll put it on speaker, he replied. From the phone, we heard Michelle's voice mocking Yvonne along with the laughter of her group. Do you remember her face when she realized she was left behind at the bus stop? That pathetic look. Honestly, I can't believe she even tried to come. What kind of nerve does she have? Poor little orphan. How did she think she could afford a trip like this? Should we keep messing with her whenever we're bored? This trip is off to such a great start. This was the conversation coming through the phone. Take care of those brats, my brother said, ending the call. At that moment, Yvonne and I still didn't understand how Michelle's voice was coming through the phone from someone my brother had called. My brother had made up his mind that he would ensure those classmates who humiliated his beloved sister would face severe consequences. The bus driver, who was already working under my brother's orders, silently turned the bus around and headed back to the meeting point without informing the passengers. Haven't we already been here? Someone asked. Hey, driver, what are you doing? Do you even know where you're going? If you don't do your job properly, you won't get paid today, Michelle said with a laugh, prompting the rest of her classmates to burst into laughter as well. I'm driving you straight to hell. You're too clueless to even realize it. The bus driver chuckled darkly to himself. What did you just say? Something about hell? Michelle asked. Nothing at all, the driver replied casually. Michelle scoffed. I have plans, okay. If we're even a minute late, you won't get away with it. Unlike you, I actually have a busy schedule. Sure thing, the driver replied, smirking. What's with this driver? So arrogant. He's just like that other one. Ah, today is such an annoying day, Michelle grumbled, continuing to look down on the bus driver with her condescending attitude. Meanwhile, my brother was explaining his plan to me. Don't worry, Michelle is about to get what she deserves. I'll make sure she knows what happens when she messes with my sister. Who were you calling earlier? I asked. I heard you say something about taking care of someone. Is this work-related? Actually, the bus driver is one of my subordinates. I couldn't help worrying about an overnight trip, so when I heard there'd be a driver, I asked one of my men to take the job. It just so happened that one of them had a license. I had him keep an eye on Ivan for me. What? Really? I'm in high school, you know. But then why did he leave me behind? I asked. Exactly. If he had let Ivan on, she could have just gone with the group. Well, I could have let it slide, but I figured this was a good chance to scare them a bit. Ivan, don't worry. I'll arrange another graduation trip for you later. But I needed to show them what happens when they mess with my sister, which is why letting the bus leave without you was part of the plan. I noticed something was off with you a while back and figured something might be happening at school. So, I quietly had someone keep an eye on things. When I found out that Michelle was harassing you and heard she'd be on this trip, I knew she'd try to pull something. So I sent my guy in. By now, they've probably already made it back to the meeting point. So, you noticed I wasn't myself. I thought I was doing a good job of hiding it, Ivan said. Wait, so I'm the only one who didn't notice anything. At that moment, the bus returned to the meeting point. What? Are we really back here? Michelle yelled. Didn't you hear me earlier? Do you think you'll get away with this? If you value your life, you'll head straight to the destination right now. Why is everyone going against me today? Hey, driver, are you even listening to me? At least respond. The driver ignored her completely and sent home the students who hadn't been involved in bullying Ivan, offering some plausible excuse. Hey, why are you ignoring me and sending people home? Not that I care about them, but at least say something. Do you want to lose your job over this? Michelle fumed. Shut up, the driver said coldly. With that, he knocked Michelle and two of her accomplices unconscious, blindfolded them, and drove to a remote location. Hey, wake up already. We've arrived at your destination. The fun starts now, the driver said. What? It's dark. I can't see anything. Michelle screamed. Stop shouting. Take off the blindfolds and get off the bus, the driver commanded. When they got off, they found themselves surrounded by large, intimidating men. What is the meaning of this? What are you planning to do? We're leaving. Do you have any idea what will happen if my dad finds out about this? Dragging us around like this. You think you'll get away with it? If you need someone to deal with, take these two instead and let me go. It'll be better for you in the long run. Michelle, consumed with rage, shouted furiously. The two classmates were visibly shocked by Michelle's remarks. Ignoring her, the men guided them inside a house and into the living room. Sit here and wait, one of the men ordered. How long are you going to keep ignoring me? Enough is enough. Why did you bring me to this sketchy place? I'll never forgive you for this. Michelle ranted. At that moment, my brother Ivan and I entered the room. What? Why is she here? What's going on? And this place? It feels like one of my dad's offices. Could this be a gang office too? No way, that can't be. There's no way this poor girl would have any connection to that. I turned to her, demanding, What are you doing here? Why are you in a place like this? What's the meaning of this? You've got quite the glare there. What's got you so scared? You've been mocking adults all day, haven't you? Shouldn't be a problem for someone like you. And didn't I say to deal with them? Why bring them here? Are you planning to finish the job in front of us? Finish the job? What are you talking about? I don't understand any of this. And why have you been silent this whole time? I struggled against my bonds. My arms are tied. Say something already. She's losing it, one of them muttered. I thought about dumping her in a river along the way, but I figured we should let her face the truth first. She needs to bow down and apologize to Ivan. After that, we'll deal with her properly. Maybe by dropping her into a deep canyon somewhere. Don't worry, I'll handle it. How about one last drive? Huh. I'd yelled, talk to me and untie me already. This is enough. I won't forgive any of you. If anyone's getting tossed into a canyon, it'll be you. You've done some terrible things to Ivan, haven't you? And you laughed while mocking her too, didn't you? What? What are you talking about? Are you saying this girl said that? Michelle blared sharply at Ivan as she spoke. Are you still going to pretend you don't know what this is about? I threw the suitcase to the ground in front of Michelle and her two accomplices. Ah, what are you doing? That's dangerous. We don't know anything, right? We don't remember anything like this, do we? Hey, you two, tell them it wasn't us. These guys have got the wrong idea, don't they? Come on, say something. Michelle exchanged glances with her two classmates, trying to deny everything. But the other two looked as if they were ready to confess and apologize immediately. Who else but you would do something like this? Evan spoke mercilessly. Normally, she was calm and gentle, but today was different. Wait, are you saying you were being bullied? Is that why you didn't come on the trip today? We were all worried about you, you know. It's horrible that someone would do this. Oh, so you're going to play innocent? Do you think I don't know what's going on here? You really think you can get away with this even now? Are you trying to lie your way out of responsibility? How pathetic. And don't forget, the driver saw everything, including you writing on that suitcase. I was foolish to think you might reflect on what you've done. Instead, you're trying to pin this on someone else. You're unbelievable. Unbelievable. Sure, I'll admit I've done some wrong, and I was going to apologize for that. But don't exaggerate this into something it's not. It was just a joke, wasn't it? Michelle looked at her two classmates, seeking their agreement. The two avoided her gaze, looking down in awkward silence. They don't seem to agree with you, do they? I bet they couldn't stand up to you. Of course, I can't forgive them either, but at least they're willing to admit their faults and apologize. It's clear just from watching. What do you know about these two? I've spent more time with them than you. I understand them better. I've spent years with them in school too. But unlike you, I've seen how you've used them to your advantage, only to sacrifice them in the end and try to save yourself. Did you think no one noticed? I saw everything. Used them? How dare you make it sound so bad? I never meant it like that, and I wasn't trying to save myself. You can say that, but I bet these two regret following you without questioning it. Or maybe you've been threatening them all along with your dad being in the gang. Isn't that why they couldn't stand up to you? Am I wrong? The two classmates silently nodded, tears streaming down their faces. Are you acting tough because your brother is here? Fine. Whatever. Yes, it was us. So what? Can your brother even do anything? My dad is in the gang, you know. He's way beyond anything you ordinary people can handle. Should I call him here? Ah, there it is. You've finally shown your true colors. Couldn't hold it in any longer, could you? Go ahead and call him, if you can. Let's see what he can do. You think you have a future after this? You'll regret this, I promise. You brought this on yourself. Ah, fine. Just untie me already. Oh, I'll regret something. All right. But I'm not untying you yet. We're not done here. What? Are you trying to turn these two against me? Using kind words to win them over? Fine, take them. They're useless anyway. How cruel can you be, calling them useless? Are they really your friends? What's so cruel about that? Don't pin everything on me. They did this of their own will. They wanted to, so they did. And now what? Blame everything on me. Make me the scapegoat. You're all hypocrites. You hated her too, didn't you? The two classmates shook their heads slightly, avoiding eye contact with Michelle. You've spent years pretending to be friends, but you've never truly understood each other. They must have been forcing themselves to stay close to you. Say whatever you want. So what? Honestly, why was I even scared? If I call my dad, none of this will matter. Now untie me so I can call him. To me, it was obvious Michelle was trying to act composed, but she was far from it. Is this high-ranking gang father of hers this guy? As my brother smirked, one of his subordinates brought a man in from the back. The man was badly beaten, his arms tied, and his mouth bleeding so badly he couldn't speak. Who was that? Let me make one thing clear. My dad isn't the kind of man who would let himself get beaten up like that. I don't know who you dragged in here, but do you really think I'd be fooled by this? I'm not the kind of girl to get scared over something like this. I've got nerves of steel, you know. If this was your attempt to intimidate me, too bad. That guy is already done for. Why don't you put him out of his misery? The man tried desperately to signal something to Michelle, shaking his head vigorously, but no words came out. What's with this guy? He's kind of creepy. Is he trying to ask me for help or something? You seriously can't even recognize your own dad? Look at this. Does this bracelet look familiar to you? That's my dad's. Wait, is it really him? No, that can't be. My dad is strong. And how would thugs like you even get to him and do something like this? My dad is an important man, far above your level. He doesn't even exist in the same world as people like you. The man nodded repeatedly, confirming Michelle's words. Are you serious? This is awful. Why would you do this? My dad has nothing to do with this. You probably ganged up on him and tied him up, didn't you? Such a cowardly way to do things. If you're going to fight, do it one-on-one. Fine. I'll call the police and put an end to all of you. Hearing his daughter's words, her father shook his head vigorously in protest. Your dad doesn't want the police involved. And in a one-on-one fight, this is the result. He's so weak that just one of my men, without a scratch, found him boring to deal with. I don't know why you thought he was strong, but he's not. And no cop is going to take a gang case seriously. In fact, calling them would probably get your dad arrested, especially since he has no status. Maybe he told you he was a boss or a high-ranking member, but in reality, he's just a low-level grunt with no power, no strength, and a history of using his gang title to bully others, yet cowering when faced with a real gang. He knows how weak he truly is, which means he's not the kind of man you imagined. He's just a powerless, ordinary old man. There's no way my dad could have been beaten like this by just one person. And a low-level grunt. That's a lie. I don't believe it. Say whatever you want. I can't forgive you for insulting my dad. Dad, tell them this is just a fluke, right? Her father kept his head down, unable to respond. Let him go. He needs treatment. My dad has nothing to do with this. Why would you do something like this to him? Beating him up so badly, is this what you call a victory? This doesn't count as winning. Someone has to take responsibility, and it starts with the parent. Because of what you've done, your family has to deal with this fallout. Do you understand now? Gang or not, there's always someone stronger. Didn't you say your dad wouldn't stay quiet? Well, he's been taken down. What are you going to do now? You claimed he had influence, and this is where it got him. For the record, I'm not interested in winning or losing. Don't lump me in with you. I just wanted to make you understand. You insulted my family, and I can't let that slide. Just like you can't forgive me for what happened to your dad, I can't forgive you for what you did to my family. Did you think I'd stay silent forever? I have my limits too. And when you cross the line, I won't hold back. I really hate you. I'll never forgive you for this. Once this is over, don't think I'll let it slide. Remember that. Don't lump me in with you. I'm different. You talk big about not holding back, but you haven't done anything. You're all talk and no action. You can't do anything by yourself. At that moment, Yvonne slapped Michelle hard across the face. Her boldness took everyone by surprise. Ow, what do you think you're doing? When I need to, I take action. Don't underestimate me. Wow, you're the only one who could push her this far. It's rare to see her like this. Do you think life will go back to normal after this? Let me tell you something. Your dad being a gang member doesn't mean anything. By the way, I'm a gang boss myself, and your dad is one of my subordinates. Do you understand what that means? I can destroy your dad's gang or kick him out of it entirely. Without that, your family is finished, and you won't have anything to brag about as the daughter of a gang member. With that, my brother pressed a knife to Michelle's neck. What are you doing? I'm still a high schooler. You can't treat a kid like this. Stop it, please. Say something. Are you just going to let this happen to me? Only now do you call yourself a kid. How convenient. Do you really think that excuse will work in this situation? I don't care what happens to you. I'm not a good person, and I've endured enough already. If sending you to hell will bring me peace of mind, then so be it. What would the others think if they heard about this? You're known as a good person. Beautiful, kind, genuine, and honest. That's why everyone likes you. But if they found out you turned a blind eye to your friends, they'd be shocked. I'm sorry. I won't harass you anymore. Besides, we're graduating, so we won't see each other again, right? Michelle sobbed desperately, trying to gain forgiveness. Crying won't help. We're not kind enough to let you off that easily. That's cruel. I've already apologized. You humiliated Yvonne and insulted my family. Do you even understand the consequences? Your father has been expelled from the gang, so he's done for. He'll never step foot in the gang world again. Now you'll have to figure out how to survive as a family. And since you ruined Yvonne's graduation trip, you'll compensate us. I'm charging your family $10,000. Consider it a discounted price since your classmates were expelled. Why would you go that far? It was just a little teasing. What's going to happen to my family now? And charging money on top of that? Please, I'm sorry. Forgive me. Now do you understand? This is what happens when you mock others. Let me make one thing clear. We didn't choose to be orphans. Even so, I've worked hard enough to provide Yvonne with a home far better than anything your father could ever give you. Don't underestimate us. Got it. My brother said this, gripping Michelle's hair tightly, the knife still pressed against her neck. I'm sorry. Please, just spare my life. Come on now, the boss is busy. Should we take you all to the canyon and throw you in? The bus driver said with a carefree laugh. Please not that. Spare me. I'm begging you. I'm so sorry. In the end, Michelle was left sobbing uncontrollably, her face twisted in despair. After that, the three were taken away, but Michelle's two classmates were safely returned home. This was because Yvonne said she wanted to forgive them. As for Michelle's father, he was expelled from the gang. Michelle's mother, who had been living an extravagant lifestyle with reckless spending, could no longer maintain such a life. Their house was seized, and the family was forced to leave the town. The entire family reportedly relocated to a rural countryside area. Both her father and mother struggled with unfamiliar jobs, enduring daily scolding but managing to work somehow. As for Michelle, she was unable to continue her education. She tried to find a job, only to face constant rejection. She eventually settled for working part-time to get by. Meanwhile, Yvonne decided to pursue higher education and was successfully admitted to a prestigious university. Big brother, thank you so much for everything this time. I'm so grateful that I can go to college. You saved up and worked hard on your own. You don't need to thank me. Hey, Ivan, isn't your trip today? Hurry up, or you'll be late. Okay, I'm off, big brother. Finally, the long-awaited graduation trip. Using the $10,000 obtained from Michelle, Ivan was able to go on a trip with her close friends. Of course, the two classmates who had bullied Ivan also joined the trip, as she decided to let bygones be bygones and move past the incident. Those two eventually became her close friends and supportive companions, remaining in her life even as they grew into adulthood. Just go lick some salt. The sound eventually disappears. There is a big pile of salt in front of me. How did this happen? What is this about specifically? Alex looks at the salt and clicks his tongue lightly as I ask. Stop talking. I never authorized you to talk. I can't speak, so I freeze. The room is filled with laughter as the other staff members around us burst out laughing. I recognize this as harassment right away. The director of this department, Alex, was someone I had heard of. He reportedly graduated from one of the most prominent institutions at the top of his class. He currently leads the main office's a department at the age of 59 and is scheduled to retire the following year. He looks much younger than he is, and he has such a commanding presence that I was speechless. I was only able to gaze at the salt mountain before me. Mark is my name. This year, I turned 50. I have to make a significant decision now. The headquarters. I muttered to myself as I sat in a rural hospital's courtyard. I was complimented by the person on the phone who described it as a significant promotion. I was reared in a rural area, attended a technical school for 5 years, and then attended an advanced program for 2 more years before. At the age of 22, I started working in a branch office of a large corporation. I gradually increased my accomplishments, moving up the ladder to a certain point. However, I was now asked if I would be interested in working at the main office. It didn't really interest me. Our lone daughter recently graduated from high school and began her first year as a working adult. My wife is a caring wife. I just want to live a quiet life with my wife. That's all I desire. I will be unable to commute from here if I relocate to the main office. Either my wife and I would have to move in together, or we would have to live apart. However, my wife is currently dealing with a medical condition that makes it difficult for her to go out. Naturally, there are many hospitals and physicians in Tokyo, the location of the main office. It would be easy for me to find someone who could take care of her. Moving and switching hospitals would still be a big hassle for her. Upon my return to the hospital room following the conversation, I noticed my wife gazing at the wind-blown curtain while likely enjoying some music on her earphones. Chase your dreams, she added, smiling with her typical dazzling expression, as if my face was a mess from all my challenging thoughts. Even though I hadn't said yet, she was obviously aware of it after our more than 2 decades of dating. My eyebrows furrowed into a helpless look as I gave an ungainly smile. In my 3rd year of technical school, I made the decision to pursue this field. At the time, I struggled to decide whether to go to college or start working. There were no prospects for my future that I could envision. I regretted my decision to attend a technical school rather than a traditional high school because of its high employment placement rates. However, I met someone who altered my viewpoint in the last hour. I was inspired to persevere for 2 more years and complete the advanced program by that experience. Yeah, I guess I was lucky to fit so well into the ed industry and make it this far. Whom do you think I gave up on success for, you? Well, that's not true. It's half right and half wrong. I might seem like a man without ambition now, but when I was younger, I burned with a desire to climb the ladder and earn a position at the main office. But when I married my wife and our daughter was born, I began to value long-term stability over career advancement. A life surrounded by convenient things in Tokyo would be nice, sure, but I wanted my daughter to grow up in a natural environment and enjoy a real childhood. For that reason alone, I stepped off the fast track. But I have no regrets. My daughter grew into a straight-laced young woman, and although my wife fell ill, I have been able to be by her side to care for her. What more could I ask for? That's why this opportunity has me so conflicted. Sure, at this point in my life, I can make my own decision. Working at the main office wouldn't be so bad, but still, I'll always put you before my job. This is what I truly felt. What meaning was there in rising up the ranks now? As I molded over, my wife gently wrapped her hands around mine. She told me not to worry about her and to do what I wanted to do. What I wanted most was simply to be with her. And yet, deep down, there was still a flicker of that ambition. A part of me still longed to aim higher, to reach for something more. All right, I'll tell the director, Mr. Smith, that I'll consider it positively. Just give me a little more time to think. As I said this, the doctor and nurse entered the room. My wife had to be moved for a scheduled test. Please take care of my wife, I said. With those parting words, I picked up my bag and left the room. The days were growing shorter in winter. Even though it had been warm during the day, the atmosphere grew unstable, and by evening, the cold air had swept in, dropping the temperature sharply. My visible breath reminded me that winter had arrived. I shivered, and as I did, my phone buzzed in my pocket. My daughter's name appeared on the screen. What's up? Oh, we're having hot pot tonight. That's great. What? No meat. Ah, all right. I'll pick some up. You get the vegetables ready. I hung up and ducked into a nearby store, seeking both warmth and the missing ingredients. The supermarket was cool, but not uncomfortably cold. I instinctively reached for lean meat but then tossed some marbled beef into the basket as well. And of course, hot pot calls for beer. I'd heard that canned beer these days could rival a freshly poured draft. I rarely drink, but since my daughter was preparing the meal, it seemed fitting to indulge. I found myself smiling naturally as I filled the basket, paid for my items, and headed home. I felt moments of happiness. For me, they were more than enough to feel fulfilled. Maybe I should never have accepted the transfer to the main office. That thought crossed my mind as I encountered an event that made me realize it. Just go lick some salt. The noise around me faded into the distance. In front of me sat a large mound of salt. How had it come to this? As I closed my eyes, memories from a few days ago resurfaced. The day after sharing hot pot and beers with my daughter, I called Mr. Smith to accept the transfer. Mr. Smith immediately began making arrangements and told me to attend a networking event the next day. It felt as though they had already planned on convincing me, even if I declined. Since I accepted, it didn't matter anymore. Fine, I'll attend the event, but my wife is unwell, so I'd like to delay my transfer a little and work remotely for now, if possible, I said. Mr. Smith agreed without hesitation and moved forward with preparations. Only a handful of employees had ever been transferred from this branch to the main office. Mr. Smith knew that I had once chosen to stay here rather than pursue promotions. That's likely why he was so determined for me to accept this opportunity. There was nothing particularly bad about the offer. If not for my wife's illness, I probably would have accepted without hesitation. And so things progressed quickly, and before I knew it, the day of the networking event had arrived. Just before the event, I came face to face with someone. Alex, the man who placed a mound of salt in front of me and told me to lick it. So, you're Mark, the guy transferring here from the branch, he said. I've told them I don't need subordinates. What's the deal with this? Listen up, I don't need you. Don't show up to the networking event. Got it? he warned. But pulling out at the last minute would have caused more problems than it solved. I didn't give it much thought and attended anyway. And this is where it got me. What exactly is this about? I stared at the salt mountain in front of me and asked. Alex clicked his tongue softly. Shut up. I never said you could speak, he snapped. I froze, unable to utter another word. The employees around us burst into laughter, and the room erupted into a chorus of mockery. I knew immediately that this was harassment. I had heard about Alex before. Rumor had it he graduated at the top of his class from a prestigious university. Everyone knew he's now the head of the 8 division at the main office, and at 59 is set to retire next year. The sheer authority he exuded was enough to make me shrink in silence, unable to do anything but stare at the ridiculous pile of salt. After a moment, Alex let out a heavy sigh. See, I warned you. You brought this on yourself. There's an open seat over there. Go sit there. Stay out of my sight. When I followed his pointed finger, I noticed a single empty seat across the room. For a moment, I thought I saw some of the employees, those who had just been laughing at me, glare sharply at Alex. Maybe it was my imagination. Deciding it would be pointless to escalate the situation, I quietly moved to the other seat. The rest of the networking event proceeded without further incident, and it ended without much more fuss. On my way out, I stopped at a convenience store near the venue to grab some stomach medicine. That's when I overheard a conversation coming from a dimly lit smoking area nearby. I hadn't intended to eavesdrop, but the voices carried. Man, I didn't think he'd actually say something like that. Acting all high and mighty just because. He got promoted from a branch office. Did you see his face when he saw that mound of salt? Priceless. It was one of the employees who had mocked me earlier, and the person he was speaking to was Alex. Don't get carried away, Alex said. From their tone, it became clear that Alex and this man were working together, or so it seemed at first. Maybe they were old friends or colleagues of the same rank. I was ready to leave, frustrated by their petty conversation, when suddenly the atmosphere turned tense. Don't get carried away. You were enjoying it too, Alex added. The mood turned tense. If Alex had been the ringleader of the salt incident, they wouldn't be having this argument now. If anything, they'd be laughing about it together. Instead, it seemed like the employee was the only one enjoying the situation. Alex, unfazed, spoke in his usual disinterested tone. If you have time to pull childish stunts like that, you should have spent it on something useful. I only covered for you. Normally, I wouldn't have bothered, but I had to intervene because I knew about it in advance. What was he talking about? Covered for him. Knew about it? Left unchecked, I started listening to them in the middle of the conversation and had no idea what they were talking about. Whatever had happened, it wasn't as simple as him scheming to humiliate me. Fine, the employee snapped. I thought you were on the same page as me, but clearly I was wrong. You're always acting so smug, so of it all. It's infuriating. With that, the male employee stubbed out his cigarette in the ashtray and turned sharply on his heel as he exited the smoking area. His eyes landed on me, and his expression darkened even further, twisting into something even more hostile. Eavesdropping, huh? What a classy hobby. Somebody like you doesn't deserve to be promoted to the main office. I won't accept it. With that, he bumped his shoulder into mine as he passed and stormed off. Having apparently heard the conversation, Alex also emerged from the smoking area. The faint smell of cigarette smoke lingered on him, but it didn't come through in his breath as if he hadn't been smoking himself. I told you, didn't I? There's no point in attending these networking events. The main office is far uglier than you realize, filled with more petty rivalries than you can imagine. I heard you'll be working under me, but staying at the branch office and working remotely. Retire there. I don't want to see you here." With those parting words, Alex walked off in the opposite direction, disappearing into the night. The next day, Alex didn't bother to hide his irritation as I stood before him, unbothered by the dark aura surrounding him. "Why are you here?" he asked. "Well, actually, I couldn't get a flight home, so I'll be working here today. The executive director also asked me to accompany you to your business meeting," I replied. "I look forward to working with you, Alex." As Alex stepped left to get past me, I mirrored his movement. He stepped right, I stepped right. It was like a comedy skit. After a few more rounds of this, Alex finally let out an exasperated sigh. "Even if I told you not to come, you wouldn't disobey a directive from the executive director. I hear you held a manager role at the age of 50 back at the branch. If that's the case, you should already understand how to handle yourself. You may have turned your back on further promotions and settled at that level, but you still know how to act. Don't do anything unnecessary. Understood. That's the condition for letting you tag along." "I understand." Realizing I wouldn't back down no matter what he said, Alex let out yet another heavy sigh, one of many that day. We got into the company car. When I slid into the driver's seat without hesitation, he blinked in surprise. "What's so shocking about this? Something wrong?" Alex shook his head slightly. "No, it's just I usually travel alone, so I'm never in the passenger seat. It feels odd, that's all." Once I confirmed he had buckled his seatbelt, I slowly started the car. As expected of Tokyo, the roads were complex, and the sheer number of lanes had me flustered. "This is why I suggested I drive well," Alex commented. "Whatever. Consider it part of your education. Up ahead, once you cross that bridge, this lane will only turn left. You're going straight, so merge into the right lane when you see the chance." His directions and guidance were spot on, and thanks to him, we managed to arrive safely at the client company's parking lot. At first, I thought Alex was inscrutable, but I realized he was surprisingly attentive. He wasn't careless or apathetic. He was a serious and meticulous person, and that only made the incident with the mound of salt feel stranger to me. Yes, Alex had told me to lick the salt, but I couldn't help but feel I was missing something. Something didn't add up. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was missing a piece of the puzzle. After checking in at reception, we were led to a conference room where we waited. Soon, a representative from the client company appeared. The moment he saw me, his eyes widened in surprise. We stared at each other in silence for several seconds before he broke into a big smile and exclaimed, "It's been a long time, Mark. I heard someone was accompanying Alex today, but I didn't expect it to be you." "Ah, now it all makes sense." The young man, probably in his early 30s, bowed his head hesitantly. Without missing a beat, I responded, "Let's just cancel the $54 billion deal." "Huh?" Alex sputtered, turning pale. The young man blinked, startled at my blunt declaration before suddenly chuckling. "That look on your face is always the same when you're joking." "Ah, you caught me," I replied, feeling a small sense of satisfaction. Considering what Alex had put me through, I couldn't resist a little payback. As Alex looked completely out of the loop, the client representative began explaining. "You see, Mark here has helped me out quite a bit in the past. I've heard all about him. If Mark is involved, then we're happy to sign the deal." "What?" Alex muttered, clearly stunned by the rapid turn of events. He turned to me, clearly, demanding an explanation. "Well, we're both alumni from the same technical school. I visited the school as an alumnus a few times, and we were in the same department, so we're somewhat acquainted." Alex seemed to ponder this for a moment before nodding. "I see. Since we've already explained the details in previous meetings, shall we skip the formalities? Of course. In fact, we were going to let you know today that we're prepared to move forward with the contract. From there, the negotiation progressed smoothly. Still, even as everything wrapped up, Alex's expression remained unusually stern. Once we returned to the company car and settled in, Alex spoke the moment the door shut. This doesn't make any sense. That company had been torn between signing with us and our rival. And yet, the moment they saw you, their attitude completely flipped. It's clearly thanks to the connections and accomplishments you've built up since your school days. But listen closely. This success is mine, not yours. That's only natural. After all, I had simply accompanied him today. It's only natural that all the credit goes to Alex, I thought. After all, he was the one who had led all those discussions. I wasn't particularly bothered by it, but I couldn't figure out why he had made such a pointed comment. That uncertainty gnawed at me as I returned to the office. 2 months passed quickly. I kept asking myself the same questions over and over. After coming home, was it really okay for me to accept the transfer to the main office? If I did, it would mean leaving my wife behind. With those unsettled thoughts swirling in my mind, I visited the hospital where my wife was staying. As always, she seemed to understand exactly what I was thinking. If you think you can do it, don't miss this chance, she said. Our daughter was there too. She told me that until I got settled, she would take care of everything related to her mother's hospital stay. She had just turned 19 and was in her first year. As a working adult, I didn't want to burden her, but seeing how responsible she had become and knowing my wife's wishes, I realized it was time to trust them. Finally, I made my decision. I've decided to take the position at the main office. It's going to cause some inconvenience for a while, but once things calm down, we'll reevaluate the situation. Until then, I'll be living alone for a bit. Please bear with me. I felt so guilty, but the encouragement from my wife and daughter gave me the resolve I needed to move forward. At 50, it's still too early to give up. 3 months after that company networking event, I officially received notice of my transfer to the main office. As expected, Alex was now my boss. I hadn't heard anything from you, so I thought you decided to stay at the branch office, but here you are, back for more. Well, whatever. I'm too busy to babysit you. Find your own work and handle it as you see fit. Alex's words were sharp and cold, but his actions told a different story. He fulfilled his responsibilities as a manager with care. The tasks he assigned were always within my capacity, and he chose work that aligned with my experience. For someone so capable, it was strange that I was his only subordinate at the moment. One evening, as I was heading home, I realized I'd forgotten something at the office. It was already October, yet the lingering summer heat was oppressive, and the asphalt still radiated warmth. As I walked back to the company, wiping the sweat from my forehead, I returned to the office and found someone still working alone in the department. It was Alex. Good evening, I called out to him. His shoulders jolted slightly, startled, but the moment he realized it was me, he let out an exaggerated sigh. Oh, it's just you, Mark. That was all he said before turning back to his computer. At first glance, it seemed like an ordinary scene, but it was already past office hours, and Alex didn't get paid for overtime. In a small and medium-sized company, it might be a different story, but ours was a major corporation. As the head of the department, his position came with a hefty salary, allowance, which meant no extra pay for staying late. So there was nothing for him to gain by working alone like this. What could he be so focused on? Just as I was wondering, Alex stretched and mumbled under his breath, almost as if talking to himself. You're the only one foolish enough to stick around. You know that, right? I'm not exactly popular. Being around me won't do you any favors, so you'd be better off keeping your distance. Before I could respond, he stood up without waiting for an answer. After shutting down his computer, he gestured for me to follow, as if to say, "Come on." Without a word, I trailed behind Alex, watching his back as he walked. The brightly lit hallway stretched ahead in stark contrast to the dim city streets visible through the windows. We stopped at the new vending machine the company had just installed, and he asked me what I wanted to drink. "I'll take a black coffee," I replied. "You're not one to hold back, are you?" he said, "but you're probably the only one who talks to me like this anymore. I don't hate it, though." "Here you go," he said as the canned coffee clattered down. Alex handed it to me. For someone who always wore such a stern expression, there was a surprising softness to his face that night. "Thank you." The cold coffee soothed me, spreading a refreshing coolness through my body. I'd never liked black coffee much when I was younger, but it had grown on me with age. While I was thinking about that, Alex bought himself a bottle of water and drank it, his gaze fixed on the vending machine. Then, as if continuing our earlier conversation, he quietly murmured, almost to himself, "You won't believe this, but everyone who works under me ends up failing. I'm not superstitious, but sometimes I wonder if I'm cursed. Maybe I should go get a purification ritual or something." Caught off guard by his unexpected comment, I froze, unsure of how to respond. Unbothered by my reaction, Alex continued speaking. "It wasn't always like this, you know. Back then, I had good subordinates. So good you wouldn't believe it, looking at me now. But eventually, all of them drifted away, triggered by something or another. Most of them now work at regional branches or small offices because of me. They were pushed off the fast track. That's why I'm certain you'll break at some point too." A self-deprecating smile crossed his face. What exactly had he gone through to reach his current position? Competition for promotions exists in the branch offices as well, but it's nothing compared to what happens at the main office. I recalled something Alex had said to me not long ago. The main office is a place overflowing with darker, more toxic emotions than you can imagine. He must have fought and clawed his way through that murky, cutthroat environment, believing in his path and pushing forward until he finally reached the position of division head. But at the same time, I couldn't help but feel that he had lost a great deal along the way. Isn't that just how promotions work, though? When someone moves up, someone else inevitably gets left behind. You earned this position because you deserved it, isn't that right? But Alex shook his head, denying my words. Did I do things that earned me resentment? Yeah, probably. To get this far, I had to outmaneuver my peers and win. That's the truth. But you're different from me. You have people to protect, and I don't think you'd ever pull the reckless stunts I did. It's true that I have a responsibility to protect my wife and daughter. Even though my daughter has become independent, she is still my child, and that will never change. That was exactly why Alex feared having me work under him. About that incident at the networking event, I never properly apologized. You won't believe me now, but I only found out about the salt prank just before it happened. Someone told me that Guy was planning something stupid to mess with you, but the problem was he's technically my subordinate. So I had to think carefully about how to handle it as his boss. Of course, he could have just reprimanded the guy on the spot. That would have been the easiest solution. But instead, Alex had tried to manage the situation quietly, covering for his subordinate while minimizing the impact on me. The whole lick the salt comment had just slipped out, apparently without much thought. But still, it's a fact that I hurt you. I figured if I made things hard for you, you'd hate me enough to go back to the branch office. I was trying to keep my distance from you, but here you are, stubbornly sticking around. Surprisingly, he smiled. Not his usual sharp, cynical grin, but something softer. That's ridiculous, I said, half joking. Alex let out a quiet laugh. I think so too. After a brief silence, he sighed and finally explained why he'd been working late. The recent negotiation went well. I kept the credit under my name because I didn't want you to become a target for harassment again, but you seem capable enough now. Pausing for a moment, Alex handed me a small slip of paper. On it were the names of several employees, presumably for the project. The client specifically requested you as the project leader. You know them, don't you? He asked. I'm getting older. It's time for me to step back and let the next generation take over. I'll make sure management knows you were the key to the success of that deal. These are the project team members. Lead them well and show them what you can do with that. Alex took another sip of water and, saying he still had work to do, headed back to the office. The next day, the project team was officially announced. At first, some team members grumbled about me being appointed leader, but as they watched me work, the complaints eventually died down. Having been entrusted with this role by Alex, I felt a sense of duty to give it my all. The project began smoothly, but then a major problem struck: unauthorized system access, leading to a data leak. According to the report from upper management, someone had attempted to infiltrate our system externally. They had accessed logs containing confidential project information, throwing the entire company into chaos. Naturally, the project was immediately frozen, and an emergency meeting was called. As the project leader, I attended, and that's when I learned the shocking truth. The unauthorized access had come from Alex's computer and account. The exact cause remained unclear, but it seemed that Alex's account had been used as a stepping stone to access the core of the system and extract sensitive information. Naturally, the client was furious about the situation. The person I'd reconnected with during the negotiation called me, sounding apologetic and overwhelmed as he tried to get a handle on the details. Nothing concrete had been decided yet, but the project was on the verge of being canceled. If that happened, it would result in far more than just significant losses. It would be catastrophic. If Alex wasn't at fault, that would have been one thing. But the logs showed that his account password had been overly simplistic, making it easy to crack. The records also revealed that his computer had been left running unattended during certain times. Impossible. That was the first thought that struck me. Alex always shut down his computer whenever he left his desk. Alex had always been strict about account management. He had warned me more than once. I've had subordinates in the past who fell victim to unauthorized access. One guy even used his wife's name and birthday as his password. Don't ever do something like that. Got it. And more importantly, Alex was the head of the 8 division and an 8 specialist through and through. The upper management seemed just as baffled by the situation. They couldn't believe Alex would make such an amateur mistake. But with the logs pointing to his account, there was no way for Alex to escape disciplinary action. Even in this crisis, Alex remained calm. See what I mean? Anyone under me never ends up well. Up until now, it's always been my subordinates who got into trouble. I guess it's finally my turn. Honestly, the fact that I've come this far without a slip-up was unnatural. I've got nothing to lose. If they hit me with damages, I'll pay it off with my retirement funds and quit. I was close to retirement anyway. Alex muttered those words quietly, almost to himself. Watching him, I couldn't shake the feeling that this situation had been orchestrated. Something didn't add up. Time was running out. If I didn't act quickly, both the project and Alex's fate would be decided before I had a chance to stop it. In that moment of urgency, I unexpectedly crossed paths with someone. Oh, you're still hanging around Alex? Huh. Even after what happened at the networking event, you're quite the loyal one, but it's over for him now. What a shame, the man sneered as he brushed past me, his voice dripping with satisfaction. Could it be? If my suspicions were correct, time was of the essence, and any delay would only make things worse. Realizing I couldn't waste another second, I spun on my heel and headed straight for my desk. Ignoring the company-issued laptop, I pulled out my personal computer, the one I always carried with me, and powered it up. This incident, no, everything that had been happening around Alex, was connected. I was certain of it. Focused and determined, I stared at my screen and started digging. "What are you doing?" The voice startled me. I looked up to find Alex standing over me. It seemed lunchtime was over, and employees were filing back into the office. Despite being at the center of this mess, Alex looked oddly composed. Or maybe he'd just given up entirely. Alex had carried so much on his shoulders, fighting his way through countless battles. In the process, he had lost so much. Yet he never looked back, and he just kept moving forward. There was no way I could let him fall so easily here. I clenched my fists tightly and took a deep breath. Without answering Alex's question, I continued typing furiously, my focus unwavering. Perhaps it was my intensity, but before long, a crowd began to gather around me, watching silently. "All right, everyone, back to your work," I called out, but at that exact moment, I shot up from my seat. "I've found it." "What is it?" someone asked. I had finally uncovered the truth. The logs being used as evidence had been falsified through highly sophisticated techniques. Look at this. Ordinarily, when a log is modified, the system keeps a record of the date and details of the change. However, in this case, traces of that record, being erased, still remain. Everything else was wiped clean, which means this was likely a careless mistake by the culprit. And from there, the trail became clear. The unauthorized access didn't come from outside. It came from within the company. While it's true that the division head's account was accessed, the IP address of the device used shows that it originated from inside the office. In other words, the culprit is one of us. If we trace this IP address, we'll find out who's responsible. At my words, the room filled with gasps of disbelief from employees who clearly didn't understand what was happening. Even Alex looked stunned, his expression uncharacteristically frozen as he stared at the suspicious IP address and the falsified logs displayed on the screen. I couldn't figure it out on my own, so I looked into it too, but I couldn't find anything. I thought, whoever did this was simply more skilled than me, and when the evidence is so clear, there's no fighting it. But I never imagined it. It was now clear that Alex had been framed, deliberately set up by someone, and I knew exactly who would be unhappy with this revelation. This is nonsense. Mark's making this up. The voice came from a man I recognized. Immediately, the same one who had sneered at me earlier, the same one who had been antagonistic toward me from the start. He was visibly shaken, his fists trembling slightly as he tried to compose himself. Almost instinctively, he began to hurriedly shut down his laptop as if trying to hide something. Alex didn't miss a beat. "Wait, what did you just hide?" Bringing personal computers into this room requires explicit approval. Mark submitted a request beforehand, so that's fine. This is the IT division after all. We manage the backbone of the company's security. Now, hand over whatever you just hid. The office instantly erupted in murmurs. We are assigned to the security division within the IT headquarters department, although we also handle sales, which sometimes causes people to mistake us for salespeople. Our primary responsibilities are system development and security management. Because of this, bringing unauthorized devices into the department is strictly prohibited. Even company-issued laptops cannot be brought into this room without prior approval. You realize that your actions are as good as an admission of guilt. Now hand it over, Alex ordered sharply. The man hesitated, his expression contorted with frustration. But eventually, he surrendered the laptop. The IP address confirmed it. The device matched the one that had accessed Alex's account. Given the circumstances, there was no doubt now. He was the culprit. You had to falsify logs with some pretty impressive skills. Why misuse such talent for this? I asked. Because of Alex, my career was ruined. The man's angry shout cut over my words. It was clear he held a deep grudge against Alex. The employees who had mocked me before seemed to share his sentiments, having followed this man's lead, blaming Alex for his own lack of success. He lashed out with completely self-centered anger. I knew I wouldn't get his position even after he retired, so I decided to strike first, pull him down and make him leave in disgrace. It was nothing but petty, twisted jealousy. The entire room fell into stunned silence, the tension so thick it was suffocating. Yet the man carried on, a crazed smile spreading across his face. Everyone knows what a lousy boss Alex is. He's a disgrace as a manager. He doesn't deserve to be here. His words were sharp, but I knew the truth. Alex had told me himself about his subordinates being transferred one after another, and about how he had been resented during the cutthroat race for promotions. It's inevitable for someone in a leadership role to become a target for such negative emotions. But I know the truth. Alex may believe he brought the resentment upon himself, but he's also the one who stayed late, without overtime pay to organize work for newcomers, and who took the most earnest approach to training the next generation. And now I realize something else. It was this man who had been pulling the strings, turning those who respected Alex against him and pushing for their transfers out of spite. You're just aware of your own incompetence, aren't you? What, even if Alex retires, there's no way you'd ever get his position. Deep down, you know that. And that realization that you're not good enough only fueled your resentment. That's why you resorted to this, didn't you? He didn't say a word. His face flushed red with anger, his teeth grinding audibly as he looked down in frustration, unable to deny the truth. This was it, the moment to reveal my hand. Your skills were impressive, but they weren't good enough to beat me. Do you want to know why? There is a reason why I was content with my position as a section manager at the branch office. I stepped forward, pulling a business card from my pocket and handing it to him. His face contorted in shock as he read it, then went pale. His knees buckled, and he sank to the floor. The Internal Audit Division Director. What? The entire room erupted into shocked murmurs. Clearly, no one had expected me to hold such a critical position within the company. I always felt the importance and allure of being in a leadership position, yet being part of internal audit meant working behind the scenes often, in roles that invited resentment. No one wanted the job, and it was precisely when I had stepped away from the promotion race that the company president personally offered it to me. Right now, I've entrusted the core responsibilities to a trusted subordinate who has taken over much of my original role. In truth, I'm just a figurehead as the head of internal audit, and my real position is as Alex's subordinate. But this time, I'm glad I was able to use my experience to prove Alex's innocence. At that moment, the culprit slumped to the floor, defeated. Before long, word reached the president and executives, and the offending employee was taken away. It was officially announced that there had been no data leak, only unauthorized accessed and falsified logs, orchestrated to frame Alex. A few months passed. The project resumed without issue and was now performing well, steadily, increasing sales. During that time, I delivered a message to Alex from several people. They were grateful to you, you know. Back when they were backed into a corner, you were the only one who relentlessly defended their innocence to upper management. They didn't want to be a burden to you, so they chose to step aside on their own. In the end, moving to regional. Offices gave them peace of mind. Some got married, others had children, and none of them regret their decision. As for the transfers of Alex's subordinates, it turned out that the same man had been behind it. Jealous of Alex for having loyal and talented team members while he had none. He schemed to drive them away out of spite. Once the facts were revealed, the company issued an apology to the employees who had been wrongfully transferred. They were even offered positions back at the main office, but they all declined. When I visited them, they all had the same message: give our regards to Alex. Hearing this, Alex pulled out a handkerchief and quietly dabbed at his eyes. When he asked me why I had helped him, I told him a story from my past. When I was still a student, back in my 3rd year, an external lecturer gave a talk. He said, "Your skills aren't just for yourself, but they can influence those around you. The most important thing is to use your abilities wisely." His words stayed with me. It was a small thing, but it made me reevaluate my career path and my life. That lecturer had been an aita specialist and an excellent salesperson. At the time, I was thinking of leaving my information engineering program, but at the end of his talk, he said, the first step to success is finding what you're good at and developing it. I couldn't forget those words, so I stuck with security as my specialty and ended up where I am today. I smiled as I finished, and Alex looked at me, his eyes wide with surprise. "I never doubted you. The look in your eyes hasn't changed since back then. I knew there had to be more to this situation, and I was right. The person who inspired my path in life then and now hasn't changed a bit." At that, Alex rubbed his nose, clearly embarrassed. Shortly after, Alex retired, leaving the company amid genuine regret from his peers. Now he spends his time visiting his former subordinates and reconnecting with them, enjoying a peaceful and well-earned retirement. As for me, perhaps it's time I started a new chapter of my life as well. With the dust settled, my wife finally recovered from her illness, and my daughter cradling her newborn baby, New Joy, came into our lives. At last, I became a grandfather.